So this week I'd like to start a saga of videos similar to like just movie review videos, but this time something more specific, and that specificity is anime. Now it's 2019, anime is everywhere, anime is becoming this cash grab. People everywhere are making their own anime nowadays, and only a few select are really that good nowadays. A lot of them are really shit in my opinion. Most of the time, it's 2019 now. A lot of people just have Netflix instead of just watching TV, and they have so many Netflix original animes popping up like every week, and a lot of them don't really make the cut. And a lot of them, if they do, it's like it's swing and a miss every time. And like sometimes there's a few that like start off really good, but they never really end very well. They always kind of get super corny and cheesy. That being just because it's a Netflix original. I don't know why they always just fizzle out so bad. Now, for all the anime that exists now that it's 2019, there's so many different animes out there. I really have not seen majority of the animes. In fact, I haven't seen that many animes at all. But I think I've definitely seen more than the average person has. And so I'll just be like, like when I watch a season of an anime, I'll just like make a video talking about what I think about it. And because there's a lot of good ones out there and a lot of crappy ones out there, and a lot of people have different mixed opinions on how they want their animes to be. So I was talking to my friend recently just about like anime in general, and we were talking about how a lot of new animes are just cash grabs, and they only really go for like 1, 2, maybe 3 seasons, and if they're good, they're good, but then they fizzle out after the 4th season, or they keep going and then just keep making the crap anime until season 3 until they just give up. And we were talking about whether it's like bad or good that that a lot of these animes are just a couple seasons and then done. And I said, well, it really depends on how good the anime is. Would you rather have like a long, great anime or a short, great anime? Obviously, you'd want the longer one because there's more to it. Like more goodness in the show. I don't really think a movie or like a show or like a game in general, it being shorter really makes it better. Unless it just has like better pacing and like the longer one just drags it out. But even then, that just is like a downfall of the thing as a whole. So if it can be longer and better, then go with that instead of shorter and better. Shorter and better. Because why would you want less of a good thing? That's just my idea, and like that's just my prospect on like all these like super short animes as opposed to like the older animes back in the early 2000s that go on like hundreds of episodes. So again, I'm not like a super anime in general geek, except I'm a geek about specific animes, but not about like anime in general. I have not seen a ton of anime, but I think I've seen more than the average person. I've got a lot of animes on my list to watch, but not a lot of time, so I'm working on that. So right now I'm going to tell you what my current favorite anime of all time is, and what I, in my opinion, think is the best anime out there. A lot of people have heard about it. Most people have seen it, or most people have heard of it. A lot of people have seen it. If you haven't watched it, I know you've heard about it. It's Naruto. I think Naruto is the best anime out there. I think if you're into anime and you haven't seen Naruto, you have not truly experienced anime. It started really early 2000 and it ended like 2015ish. I think is when it ended, maybe 2014. That's a long runtime. It doesn't have as many episodes as it could for that long a runtime. And I've seen about, I want to say 85% of the anime, 85% or higher, because Naruto does have a lot of filler episodes. So instead of telling you guys all the great stuff about Naruto, I'm just going to skip and go to the downfalls, which are just a few downfalls about it. And a lot of these downfalls are like a lot of common things like other older and newer animes have. It's nothing really extreme that really takes it down a notch, which is why I think it's such a great anime. It's just got such a great story, likable characters. It does have kind of a like very mainstream focus on main character kind of role, which is what most animes have. Not a lot of them have different kind of styles like that are that much better. But all in all, I'll just go through some of the things that bother me about the anime, but there's only a few things that other things have anyway. So the first thing is, I said it a minute ago, the filler episodes. A lot of old animes have filler episodes, and even the filler episodes are honestly pretty entertaining. You could be watching filler and then like not even know it's filler. You could go ask like an expert and they'll be like, oh yeah, that's the filler episode between this the gap between these arcs where you just need fill time. So yeah, Naruto, like a lot of other animes, has filler episodes. Second, something that a lot of older animes have that not a lot of newer animes have, which is why people are kind of gravitating towards the newer animes, obviously, because they've seen the old ones, but a lot of the newer ones don't have as much as this problem, is just the pacing of the episodes. A lot of Naruto episodes do have that kind of like stare down between hero and enemy, and they just they have just this moment where nothing just happens, where they like just increase the intensity, and a little bit of that is okay, but Naruto does kind of have a lot of that, and it can bug a lot of people who are impatient to see a fight scene. It does bring down the fight scenes, don't get me wrong. The fight scenes are amazing, and they have plenty of those, plenty of amazing, memorable fights, but they do have those spots in between the episodes where it's just like a stare down, and like they talk for like a minute, and they just have this stare down. A lot of old animes have that, not so much the newer ones. So this third thing is something that almost every anime that a kid could watch. Obviously, it's not not a ton of gory animes have this, because it's it's supposed to be like for kids who can like handle a little bit of blood and a little bit of whatnot. But Naruto does have its moments of like attendance checkup feels, where the main character just sits down with the villain and says, "Hey buddy, you don't need to be doing this. You got a shitty past, but we'll all be your friend if you just stop now, so I don't have to kill you, and we can all be friends and whatnot." It does have a significant amount of that in it, which is really bugging to a lot of people, and for obvious reasons, just because it doesn't seem realistic in any way, shape, or form that the hero would be doing this for a dude who's been like murdering people and has this plot to take over the world and whatnot. But Naruto does have a fair share amount of that. And that's probably one of the most annoying things about the show for me, is that Naruto will sometimes, try to make sense out of the situation and try and get the villain to turn good when he could just easily clobber him and it's over, that type of shit. And this is really relevant in a lot of animes. Most of the newer ones have a lot of kind of parts like this, where it's this whole intense fight's supposed to go down, but in the end the main character is just sitting there having this therapy session with the enemy to try and stop them from doing bad things and whatnot, which is kind of like a noble pull, but also just kind of not fitting for such an intense show where there's supposed to be a bunch of fighting and killing and whatnot. And lastly, another thing that again majority of animes have is just huge plot holes in timing, and plot holes of just oh, well, this happened 30 years ago, and this guy was supposed to die. Well, why is he being reanimated, and he's actually 200 years old? That doesn't make any sense. That's not an accurate statement to Naruto, but that's just an example of the timings of things aren't right, and you're supposed to be this age. How can you be this age but be able to do this? But in the lore, they said you're not supposed to be able to do this until you're this age, type of shit. It's got its fair share amount of that, and a lot of anime has that, especially the longer animes that really are devoted to timeline and lore, don't really match up all the time. And another quick thing is just techniques. And how the lore kind of gets brushed under the table. There's a lot of things in Naruto where it will sit down and explain exactly the situation going on. This guy's beating this guy because of this technique, and his technique doesn't counter this guy's technique, and he's got to use these hand signs to use this jutsu, but it doesn't work against this guy's Kekkei Genkai and whatnot. And that's all super cool and fun in the moment it's happening, but by the end of the anime, none of that shit matters. None of that's being brought up. It's about this guy with this power and this guy with this power. Although they know all these jutsus and random techniques that can counter each other, they're just using these two powers. Or this guy's just using brute strength, even though he probably knows all this jutsu, and this guy's using this crazy jutsu, even though he's got all this strength. It really comes down to the character itself, and they fill the show with a lot of lore of just how the magical powers of the anime work out. And in Naruto, they do it a lot where they mention things that work this way, but then in the end, none of that really matters. You'd hardly see any hand signs in the last hurrah of the anime, even though those were so prominent in the beginning. So another thing, if you don't know a lot about Naruto, is that the anime is over. it has ended, and they have this shitty new series called Boruto, which is never gonna live up to Naruto. I haven't even seen hardly any of Boruto. I think I watched the first 10 episodes and I thought this is really weird and wacky and I don't like any of these characters, so I just stopped watching it. I might get back into it later and change my mind, but for now that's my stand on Boruto, as I think it's kind of lame and Masashi Kishimoto needs to start something new. But Naruto, the anime, is over. You know, there's not much debate about what's going to happen next to the anime. It should probably just be left alone unless Boruto is going to start getting good, which I doubt it will. And to be honest, in general, I don't think any anime is ever going to come out and top Naruto, in my opinion. I don't think any of the animes coming out are going to keep the same good consistently. Like, I've seen animes come out with, like, the first season, like I said, Netflix originals sometimes start off really good, and you think, dang, this might actually, like, rival Naruto in the end, and then it fizzles out actually after like third season. The thing about Naruto is it stays consistently good, until it hits its level of fillers. Well, it doesn't really seem like there's much of a plot, but you always know there's a next thing coming. And a lot of things about Naruto is it always keeps you on your toes. They always mention like villains or like people in the future or secret powers that somebody has to unlock later on. There's just a lot of mystery, and I feel like that's a really strong point in a lot of animes that makes it so great. Is other animes, like they'll mention some villain but then like not mention him again for like 3 episodes, and then like something comes up and it's like, oh, it's his henchman or whatnot. And Naruto has a lot of shit like that, which I think really progresses the anime and you want to just watch more of it, more and more and more. But yeah, Naruto, best anime in my opinion. That's all for now. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think about Naruto or any anime itself in the comment section below. I love to read it. And thanks for watching. See you next week.